I'm Lynn.
I'm Amanda.
And this is The Pursuit of Badassery, the podcast. We're cutting through the fluff and cracking open what it really takes to build a business and life that you actually want.
No gurus, no gatekeeping, just real talk, big action, and the badass energy you need to scale and slay.
Some episodes, it's just us.
And sometimes we bring on powerful guests with stories that'll hit home.
Either way, this is not about playing small.
It's about going all in.
Let's get after it. Hey there, I'm Lynn.
And I'm Amanda. Welcome back to The Pursuit of Badassery, the podcast. Today, we are talking about social entrepreneurship and community impact and what that means for your business, no matter how big or small.
Yes, it seems to be more of a buzz kind of word, especially post-COVID companies, big companies having CSR arm type of thing. I know they use that term a lot in Southeast Asia. I think it's a global term, but it really has become more of a movement. And especially with the newer generations, they want companies that are purpose-driven, that are giving back, that are more community-oriented. And so we felt that this was fitting. I've always been extremely active in the community one way or the other. Amanda has too. And it's been important to us, but we've never done a podcast on it. So it's time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we both have had community aspects to all of our businesses. I think the community, volunteerism, all of that has been almost a core aspect of all of our businesses in some capacity. I know that I grew up with a very service-based background of volunteering and outreach, and it's been something I've had in all of my businesses. There's been an aspect of that. And I think what's really important to note is we hear it a lot from these big corporations that come out like, oh, they're doing this for 1% for the world, blah, blah, blah. But it's not just big companies that do this stuff. In fact, a lot of the best impact that I see is the smaller companies because they're directly related to their own intimate communities rather than just a more global effect that nobody really sees, or at least you don't see as easily unless you have millions and millions of dollars. So it's all about intentionally integrating that social or environmental change or whatever change you want to see into your mission and operations. And it could be something as small as donating to the food bank every year, or taking your team to do roadside cleanup, or maybe it's you do angel tree stuff at the end of the year. I mean, it doesn't have to be a huge, you're going to donate $50 million to this cause. It doesn't have to be that way. And I think that some of the best initiatives I've seen are really small, and they are built in like really the heart of your community, grassroots stuff. And it doesn't have to be huge. And it doesn't mean like giving back doesn't mean you're taking less money. It doesn't mean that by giving back, you're making less. It doesn't mean that it's only for nonprofits or huge corporations. It doesn't mean that you have to be making $1.6 million in order to make a difference. It really is small things lead to big change. So I think that that's one of the ways that any business can really give back and really work on what's important to them, because it's different for every person and every business.
It's interesting because depending on what your beliefs are as a business owner might guide you in kind of the community impact or social entrepreneurship that you want to help with. And so I know what mine were when I lived in Hawaii, and it was anything cancer and anything with kids, right? So we definitely were making sure that we were giving back in those arenas and others as well. Things I belong to, strategic alliances and their kind of community service things or their community things that they were doing. I think one place to start is it is solving a problem to real people, like real people in your community. And our communities are so dynamic that it could be lots of different things. And that's why I think it usually will start from, okay, what is your go-to? Like some people, like Amanda was saying, the food bank, or some might be towards animals. We have a marketing person here in Bangkok, and she's always posting about animals because that's like her go-to. So everybody kind of has their go-to, but I think it's making sure that you're doing it based on like something that is important to you, but that you're actually listening to what the problem is. And I'll actually give you an example. I can't remember when it was, but it was decades ago that I remember having this conversation about giving back to people that maybe weren't as fortunate. I want to say it started maybe with the angel tree kind of stuff and us having conversations in the community, because me and my girls, we went into the communities and we would have conversations. And also I came from that kind of life, right? But that we often want to, buy a new bed for a person because we think that they need a new bed, or we want to buy this for them because we think that they need this. But really, we're not listening to the needs in which they have. And it was one of the most beautiful things about the angel tree that we had in our area that we participated in, because these kids wanted like sleeping bags, a haircut for the first time, tickets to a movie, where you wanted to just shower them with toys and whatever. But it was actually listening to what they wanted and what their needs were versus just forcing upon our idea of what they need on them. I think that that's really important when you are setting up some kind of social entrepreneurship or community impact wave, that you're really listening to the problems and the needs of the people that you're wanting to serve.
Absolutely. And there's also an aspect of, if you don't know where to start with the things that are important to you, or start with the things that really align with your company and your company's goals. I mean, I had a client, it was like ages ago, who ran a vacation rental company. So she would help people with vacation rentals all over the world. And one of her things was that they did a Habitat for Humanity. So her family was really big in Habitat for Humanity. But then once their business hit a certain marker, they started donating 1% of their profits to Habitat for Humanity. And it really aligned with their business because their whole business model was vacation homes and vacation rentals. Their family participated in that program, and then their company was able to donate to it as well. And so it was just this very synergetic connection of giving back to the community. Last episode, we talked about building trust, but this is another way you can build trust and brand identity. This is brand loyalty and really showing people like the word of mouth within the community. And it can really attract those like value aligned team members or networks or, community members that you want to get involved with, because this is giving you a deeper reason to stick around, more so than just products and services.
Yeah. Another place to start is, even, I know this sounds silly, is shop local, buy local. And I know this is a big Hawaii thing, but when you source from local and ethical vendors within your community or within a community that's important to you, because it could be another country. For example, my whole thing is kids, right? So maybe I might source crafts from a place in a different country that supports kids. And actually, I'll give you another way around it. When I traveled to Colombia for the first time, when I stayed in Cusco, I actually stayed at, I would say it was a semi-hostel, although I had my own bathroom. But it was because all the money went to support the school that was attached to it. When you can buy local or source local, you're strengthening the community ecosystem, if you would. And so that is giving back to your community. That is, to me, social entrepreneurship. Because like Amanda said, it's not always about giving money or giving services, which are all great, or providing a service. It could be just really supporting the community in which you believe in, or strengthening that ecosystem.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be money driven. I mean, there's so many parts about your business. I mean, I'm sure you've all seen the social media posts about it costs $0 to support this in your small business, and it costs $0 to that, but it also costs $0 to care when it comes to things that you care about in your business. And even just supporting in whatever way you can makes a big difference in the community. And it really, I mean, I know it's so cliche, but small changes, small things make big impacts. They just do. So wherever you can start, now's a good time. And whatever you can give, that's enough. So it doesn't have to be a percentage of your profits. It doesn't have to be doing some huge fundraiser that's going to raise thousands of dollars. It can be small, and it can be impactful, and it can be absolutely free for the most part. So,
yeah. Or even
deep.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking of actually some places here in Thailand, because it could even be in the hiring aspect. I know Hawaii has lots of different programs, even like the one that was just kind of the aloof kind of example I was giving to you. I was thinking of like marginalized voices or community. They are hired, for example, especially it's really prevalent in Chiang Mai. There are different massage parlors that only hire women convicts, those that have come out of prison that are trying to make a life for themselves. And so we're not saying to go fully that route, but is there a way that you can maybe help with that? So that's another way that you can, I mean, even as a remote worker or VA, maybe look at somebody who that you feel more fulfilled. It is fulfilling to give back unless you're a sociopath or a psychopath or a narcissist, all three combined. Yeah, same, but different. But yeah, so there's so many different ways. And for those of you baddies who are like Amanda and I, who might have programs or do training or do consulting, Amanda and I are constantly doing pro bono work. We have other work, obviously, that pays our bills, but we actually just this last cohort in the badassery, the badass amplifier, the BA, we have finally brought in a scholarship and a sliding scale arm to it because we want to make sure that we're not gatekeeping those that really need this program, because it is a group thing and the more the merrier in that group. And we just really want to make sure, because that ripple effect, that cause and effect it can have to be able to empower somebody in an area that maybe they don't know, like with our BA, they need help with their business, they need help with entrepreneurship. And, you know, we have clients that are constantly having their best months, their best years, their best movement ever. Huge changes come of it. And if we can help those that are a bit more marginalized or those that who might not be able to afford it, that feels good to us. And so it was something that was really important to us. And until we got where we could do it, right? Because there is aspect of doing it before you actually can do it. And that's kind of like giving before you can to your detriment. It was something we implemented and we're really excited about it.
I think both Lynn and I, for a long time, have really had this, I guess, soft spot in our heart for wanting to help to a fault. I mean, Lynn more so than me, but even I feel like we want to constantly give back. We want, if you sit down with a coffee with me, I'm going to tell you all the things for your business. It's like I can't shut it off. And
yeah.
We want to help people grow. We want to see businesses grow. And so this was just the perfect way to increase that, because now that both of us are on a more international side, there's so much impact to be had. There's so much reach to go for. And the more we travel and the more we see new people and meet new people and all the conferences that we're going to and all the events and networking things, it just became apparent that we needed to do that. And so I'm really excited to add that section on it, because it's opened up students in Ethiopia, students in India, students in the Philippines. Like, there's so many more ways to reach people and to help people grow their businesses so that they're not part of the statistic of starting a business that inevitably fails. So
absolutely,
it was a really important part of our business. But both Lynn and I have always had a community outreach in mind.
Yeah, you don't have to just be a part of those. Like people in the US too applied for it. It's just that,
Yes.
you know, some of these areas where people make less than $1,000 a month, sometimes less than $500 a month, just for a whole family. And we're able to help have some impact on their growth, their mindset, their support system that they might not have. And it definitely gives back to us, but we feel like we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. So obviously there are some benefit depending on what region of the world you're in. It differs, but there's definitely benefits to having this type of, financial, if you're donating financially, etc. It's the last thing I look at. Amanda's more of the numbers person, I know. So she makes sure she keeps all of our numbers in check, but it is part of being responsible to report that, etc. And so for those of you that are driven by being able to, write things off, and you have so much that you need to give away at the end of your fiscal year or your year, how are you looking at that? And is it really coming from a place to serve, or is it coming from a place of we just need to get rid of this, or this is always the organization that we've done? But how can you create more purpose with that, I guess, is what I'm getting to, because we really can make a difference. And actually, I watched something this weekend. I heard it somewhere else. I can't remember. It might have been on on our favorite news feed, but it was more or less a story of, there's so many people who need help. Like, how are you going to make an impact? It was on our favorite news feed. I saw a pop-up, a video of it. Essentially, the video that I was watching was about starfish, and there were so many starfish. And the dad was like, well, there's so many starfish, with the kid throwing the starfishes back in the ocean. And he's like, how are you going to make a difference? And he's like, throws a starfish in the ocean. He's like, I made a difference to that one. Isn't that like, and that's the same with people. And so I think it's, so many people out there need help, but it also should be driven from a place of good for you and impact. And you should be evaluating that on an annual or every couple of years basis to make sure that it's still driving impact and it's not going to some corporate that isn't really, not that Red Cross and different organizations don't do good things, but how can you have more impact with what you're doing?
And how can it be in more alignment with who you are and what you want to see change in the world? Because not everybody wants to support the same things. That's what makes us so great. Is there are plenty of nonprofits and charities out there that I will never support, and there are plenty that I always want to support. I mean, there are things that really resonate with me. So it should be in alignment with you. It should be in alignment with your business and your values. And why not share that with the world? If that's important to you, why not share it?
Absolutely. And I know we haven't brought it up yet because I know it's a hard spot, but when the Maui fires happened, we instantly had conversations, and Amanda ended up taking all kinds of donations, but any of our sales courses that sold 100% directly went to the victims of the Maui fires. And obviously we have a connection, Amanda more so because that was her hometown. But yeah, so it could even be in response of when you're doing these type of things, but it's important for us to strengthen the communities and the environments in which we come from, and we can make a difference. And I love that you use my favorite quote, be the change that you want to see. And I think that is something, we think that is something really important.
So we're interested, what are the things that light you up outside of just your profits? Tell us, drop a comment, drop a message. Let's see where you are putting your energy and your efforts. We want to know what you're supporting in your business, because maybe it's something we want to support too.
Absolutely. We would love to know. And yes, go ahead and share this with the people in your network. Hit that subscribe button. Not only organizations, but what's some of the most creative social impact or community impact drivers that you've seen, efforts that you've seen. We'd love to hear it. So I guess this is it for now. Till next time.
Get after it.
Thanks for tuning in. But remember, listening is not doing.
Take what you heard today and move.
Share the episode, leave us a review, and tag us when you take action.
Head over to thepursuitofbadassery.com and see how we're helping entrepreneurs get results without the fluff.
Until next time,
let's get after it.